and welcome to another awesome session of Mindful Living. We truly appreciate your taking out time and joining the session today. Give me a minute as I pull up my presentation. Many of us who are in the session today have possibly uh, born in independent India. So at times we tend to take our freedom for granted. But the freedom we take for granted is protected fiercely by brave hearts who day in and day out are fighting aggressors, either internally or externally, and happily lay down their lives so that our lives and our families can be safe and they can go on as normally as ordinarily. And this is something which, having been a leader in the corporate sector myself, it has always fascinated me. How can you really motivate someone so much that he can lay down his life happily with a sense of pride? I just want to check if you are able to. Okay, thank you. So, how is Army, Defense Forces able to train people to be able to motivate them to lay down their lives? It's, I think, a sign of great leadership. And in my discussions with leaders from the defense forces across the years, over the number of years, I often ask them this question. And there are two things which stand out for me on how army is or defense forces are able to motivate people to do the extreme in terms of taking care of the country. And one is how they are trained. There is continuous training that is provided in the values and in the leadership. And the second is, how they are selected. And one of my bosses used to say that if you want good quality furniture, it is very important that select good quality wood first. And our speaker today is Brigadier Vidur Nevrekar, who was the former president of Services Selection Bureau, which is a board which is responsible for selecting the officer cadets for the NDA. And he's had a very distinguished career in the army of over 33 years. And he has served the country from the deserts in Rajasthan to the jungles in Arunachal Pradesh to the extreme weather in Siachen. Very distinguished career in Brigadier Vidur. We are very happy to have you with us for taking out time and sharing with us these leadership lessons from the Army. And it's a great institution, and it is an interesting time for us in the country because it's where it becomes important for us to imbibe these leadership lessons so that we are well prepared for the Amrit Kal for the next 22, 23 years when we hit the 100 years of Indian independence and become a developed nation, $50 trillion economy by then. So this is a great period ahead of us, and it behooves each one of us to learn. And I'm so happy that you have taken out time on a weekend to invest in learning these military leadership lessons. Uh, there may be some of you who are attending a mindful living session for the first time. And if you're attending a mindful living session for the first time, please type FT in the chat box. FT for first time. And while we are waiting for your responses, I'll also request you to keep your cameras on. It'll help. Okay, Lalita, welcome. Who else is joining the session for the first time? Rohit, thank you. Welcome. So friends, for the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time, I'll take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Ashish Kumar, and I'm the founder of Mindful Living. We started Mindful Living Community in 2020 when the COVID, the first lockdown happened. And at the request of a few of my friends, I conducted a session on mindfulness over the weekend. And one thing led to the other. And today we are a vibrant community of over 1,000 people who connect every weekend to learn how to live consciously and how to lead healthier, happier, and wealthier lives. I'm a certified mindfulness coach myself. And in my previous life, I worked in the corporate sector in senior management positions with companies like Tata Group, Future Generali, Marsh, and in healthcare sectors. So we'll be sharing the link of Mindful Living WhatsApp community, and in case you are interested in joining this community, please feel free to do so. The only way you can join the community is when somebody invites you, because you won't see our ads or anything like that on the social media. It's a no-nonsense community where there are no good morning, good night messages. Only people who are connected together by their desire for living consciously and leading healthier, happier, and wealthier lives. And I'll request you once again to keep your cameras on and stay actively engaged during the presentation by Brigadier Vidur using the reactions button. So clap, show thumbs up, show love whenever Brigadier Vidur shares something which is of interest or which resonates with you. So on that note, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Brigadier Vidur, for taking out time for sharing this priceless wisdom from a great institution that is the Indian Army. So over to you, Brigadier Vidur.
Thank you so much, sir, for that, for the praise of the Defense Forces and also a great introduction for me. I'm so thankful to you for giving me this platform for speaking today. It's almost over a year that I've been missing this platform for the speaking purpose. Yes, I've been listening to you quite often. I'm so thankful to you, sir. Uh, Before I start on my session, let me wish you all a very happy Independence Day, and may this independence last till eternity. And if it has to last till eternity, every one of us is equally responsible for it, uh, be it forces or otherwise. Uh, Forces are nothing magical, nothing great. They are doing their job that is entrusted to them. At most, they are a little different than the other organizations. Every organization has its own mandate, the way the defense forces have their own mandate. Uh, what is our subject of discussion today is not what we work for. It is how we work. It is the character-based leadership, which is in the defense forces. Uh, that is what is of importance. And if uh, the entire India is required to have a character-based leadership, then there are certain lessons that can be learned today, because uh, every organization leadership will be known by the ethos of the organization and the character-based leadership. Uh, Before I go ahead, can I share my presentation?
Yes, Brigadier Vidur.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little slow on this, so you'll bear with me. So the aim of the discussion today is how is this character-based leadership cultivated and maintained in the defense forces? And what can someone not from the defense forces uh, really take home from what we do in the defense forces? Defense is probably the oldest
Sir, you are gone on mute. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so since when I've been on mute? Okay, so if you see uh, a profession as such, defense forces have been the oldest profession probably in the history. Rest all have been individual professions uh, or unorganized professions. All those professions have organized over a period of time, and therefore you have something called industry. Yes, earlier there used to be weavers, there used to be tailors. Now there is West End. Now there is Shoppers Stop. So, so the things have become organized. And when these things have become organized, a lot of tactics, a lot of qualities, a lot of traits have been taken from the defense forces, to run those organizations the way the defense forces ran a community profession. Over a period of time, these traits, because of maybe education or the priorities, whatever, but like management and leadership are one of the traits which have been taken. They have deteriorated over a period of time because in our education, we don't teach love, we don't teach patriotism. All these things are not taught. What we're taught is only what is materialism. So these things have deteriorated. If I give you an example, uh, uh, just to emphasize the effectiveness or the efficiency of the organization of a thing is concerned. Earlier days, there was a vehicle called Jonga in the Indian Army. Now, Jonga was a smaller vehicle, something like a jeep. Now, this Jonga had a body of a jeep, but the engine of a much bigger vehicle called 1 ton. That is, Jeep has got a 4-cylinder 60 HP engine, but the Jonga had 6-cylinder 110 HP. So that it is an effective vehicle to, negotiate the rugged terrains of deserts, mountains, etc., etc. So if effectiveness and efficiency carried a lot of, emphasis. Why go only in defense forces? Even if you see outside the defense forces, all those from Pune can understand this. We have a place called Chandni Chowk in Pune, somewhere near NDA. And there was a flyover there, old flyover, which was constructed in 1990. To have a bigger flyover in 2022, this flyover was scheduled to be demolished for the new flyover to come over. A very highly acclaimed company was hired for it. That company, just about a week back before that demolition, have demolished a few buildings in Noida or Gurgaon or somewhere by implosion. So that company was hired, and that company went through the, the architect, the design plans of that bridge available in various authorities here, and they put that required demolition charges, and they demolished the bridge. Now, to their horror, they saw that the bridge was not demolished. So what happened? So then they contacted the original manufacturers, or sorry, the designers and the construction agency, which was also based in Pune. So they said, we wanted this bridge to last a little longer than what we have promised. So we put a little more of concrete and a little more of iron in that bridge, which was more than the designs in the, office show. So that was the sense of working, the efficiency and the character was behind the management, which probably has, overtaken by the material gains and maybe the fame. So that has happened over a period of time because of the, changed character, the competition, or whatever you call it. And therefore, now you find the bridges collapsing before they are constructed, uh, the houses collapsing before they are constructed, the potholes on the roads before they are fully completed. And unfortunately, what happens is we blame the society. Now, who makes the society? We make the society, and we blame the society that we are corrupt because the society is corrupt. And this is not what I am saying. A few years back, I have heard Rajdeep Sardesai taking interview of one of the ex-chief justices. He was asking him about uh, the corruption in the judiciary. So this gentleman told Rajdeep, I will answer your question in one sentence. So Rajdeep said, yes, sir. He says, we belong to the same society. Now, hearing that from a ex-chief justice of India was very difficult to digest. So I thought, if chief of army staff or navy or air force staff was asked this question, what would have been his answer? Probably, in my opinion, his answer would have been that yes, we belong to the same society, so we cannot totally override the corruption cases in the defense forces. But the moment we see one, we take immediate expeditious action. And you've seen that. You've seen that many number of times. You've seen the Helka case, which happened somewhere in 2000. General Ahluwalia was immediately punished for that. It took another 10, 12, 15 years for Bangaru Lakshman to be punished. But Ahluwalia was immediately punished, and very recently in 23, General Ahluwalia got a verdict from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court told Tehelka that it is very late for the apologies, and probably Tehelka paid 2 crores of that, whatever you call it, defamation uh, thing to him. So that is the kind of way the corruption is, dealt with in the defense forces. Okay, so why is it that uh, whether it is our primary job or secondary job, like we very recently went to Wayanad, whatever it is, we carry it out very effectively. Why is it that whenever something goes wrong, uh, everyone has faith in us? What are it's not that we don't have grievances. It's not that we don't have demands. Now, these people who are there in this bridge construction, somebody has some problems at home. Somebody's wife is pregnant. Somebody's mother is not well. Somebody's father is not well. Somebody's child has not got admission to the school. All those problems are there at the back of your mind. But yet this force uh, does give what the society requires from it. It's not only that. We have, really speaking, it is not a very cushy organization. It has got a lot of problems. Let us see how the life in defense forces is. Physically and mentally, it is a very stressful training. And when I say training, it is not the induction training which we have, say, 3 years in NDA or 1 year in IMA or almost a year in OTA, or it's not that. That is just the pre-induction training. But throughout your life, you have the training in terms of tactical training, strategic training, the arms training, promotion training, and a lot of other kind of things. In the unit, we have only training. So all this is very, very stressful. There is a lot of outdoor training, which we conduct every year. So it is physically demanding and also the mentally demanding and very stressful. There are extreme geographic exposures. It will be difficult to digest, but yes, -80 to +50. I have stayed in -80 in glacier in 89, and +80, of course, +50, of course, a number of times in deserts. Terrain variations. Today you are in plains, tomorrow you are in glaciers, then you come back to mean sea level, then you go back to the mountains. So a lot of that. Heights ranging from mean sea level to 22,000 feet in a place like Glacier. And if you are in the Navy, then you go much deeper. And if you are in the Air Force, you rise much higher. So those are the heights that, we have to deal with. Very difficult postings, too many movements. In my 33 years of service, I have had 22 postings. So, and these postings do not include the movements that we had for exercises and, trainings. Those are the different movements. So we have very, very different, difficult family life. Most of the times, half the times, in any case, our families are left alone, whichever place they are. The children education is affected. My son joined 6 schools or 7 schools in first 7 years of his education. And from 8th to 11th, we kept him, or 8th to 12th, we kept him in one place. But I had 3 postings during that time. So that is the kind of, movements we have. We have very slow and limited time-bound promotions. 95% of us retire as full colonels. That's all. Uh, just about 0.5% reach the level of a general, uh, which is equivalent to a joint secretary, which the IAS cadre is 100% people in the IAS cadre reach the level of joint secretary, which only 0.5%. In a uh, cadre strength of 50,000, only about 300 plus generals are there. About 1,000 brigadiers, about 5,000 selection grade colonels, and rest all are. So almost 50% of us are superseded at any point in time. And in spite of the fact that there is so many of the people who do not have anything to look forward to, this organization has not crumbled. That is the importance of the training and the selection it has. There are too many restrictions. What I should do, when I should do, should I go here, should I not go there? Even at the level of very senior levels like brigadiers and major generals, you have to either inform or take permission from your higher authority if you want to leave station overnight. So those kind of restrictions are there, but of course they have their own advantages. And then you have the hanging sword of operational death, deformity, injury, disability. All these things are there. But in spite of all that, ours is the most respected organization. It is the most trusted organization, and it is the last resort in the hands of government, and more so in the hearts of the people. They have, uh, a great faith in us, and sometimes they do say that we should take over the country, which is not good. But then yes, I can understand their love for us. Uh, you rarely find an organization which has proved itself repeatedly in its primary task, which is maintaining the integrity of the borders. Uh, Also, the secondary tasks that it has been carrying out, in the past, that is uh, handling of widespread terrorism, not only in J&K, but also in the other state, Punjab earlier, eastern states, and any others. Rescuing people in natural calamities like floods, earthquakes. We recently had, avalanche in Wayanad, these floods, these kind of things. Aid to civil authority in things like major agitations, law and order situations, rail accidents. Not only that, we've been rescuing children from the tube well. Very recently, the Navy has carried out anti-pirate actions. All these uh, uh, all these tasks have a very wide scope of leadership. Also, there is a lot of requirement of will to sacrifice everything that you have, including your life. And why I'm saying everything you have is, in tsunami, the people who were actually working in the relief operations, their own houses have flown off in the, tsunami. I have seen earthquake in Bhuj in 2000. I was in the same formation, not in Bhuj though. But people who were, helping people in the earthquake affected people, they had their houses either collapsed or cracked or whatever. So that is the kind of sacrifice that you require. So what is that enables you to give this kind of sacrifice? So while I was just thinking as to what must be those things which enable us for this kind of sacrifice. So I homed on to two things. One is the selection system. We have a very peculiar selection system. And second is our training. Our training is not, restricted to some timings. Throughout the, whatever we do is training only. I will show you a video, if time permitting, of a naval officer that will, reinforce what I'm saying. The training is throughout the day and night. Training is throughout your life. And what happens is, like Vivekananda said somewhere, our bodies, our virtues, our intellect, and our spirituality, all these continuously influence others. So we keep on influencing the people. Those youngster influence the elders influence the others, the jawans influence officers, officers influence jawan. And therefore, although the kind of selection system that we have is only for officers, but we cannot undermine the sacrifice by the jawan. And why has it happened? It has all happened because of the continuous mentorship of each other. So these are the two things. My aim will be to briefly touch upon these two things before I come to what we can learn from it. So firstly, talking about the selection system. We have a very peculiar kind of selection system, which you will not find uh, in any other professions. Probably it is not required, or whatever may be the reason. In every other selection system, or for every other profession, what you look for is the IQ of the person. You look for the knowledge of the person. You look for his physical attributes, his personal expertise, his individual expertise, his individual experience in a particular field. You look for his conscious behavior, how he behaves consciously, what he can do consciously. But in service, the things are totally different. We look for his subconscious and unconscious behavior. We look for his overall development. We look for his prioritization of life. What priorities did he have in life? What is his ethical background? How does he adapt to the environment? What is his social culture? What is his consistency, to the changed stress levels? That is what we see. We see what does he grasp from the environment without teaching. There are certain things taught to you. There are certain things you just hear, you just observe, and what do you observe and grasp? What is your inspiration above all to join the defense forces? Uh, what is your passion for the defense forces? What is your will to do? We see all these things, and I wouldn't be maybe a little exaggeration or whatever, but I have convinced in my 3 years of selection system, and thereafter being a guide to many people who want to join this noble profession. Uh, in last about 12 to today, about 12, 13 years of research, I found that we actually look for the EQ and the SQ, that is emotional quotient and the spiritual quotient of a person. Now, if you really see the terminologies of emotional quotient and spiritual quotient have emerged only in 1947 and 2004. Sorry, 1997 EQ and 2004 the SQ. But you've been seeing for these qualities right since 1943. when, in India, the system of SSB selection started. So we actually go for character hunt, in the SSB and not the knowledge hunt. So how does it work? So these are three techniques. The techniques I will come to you later. But we see through his vacha, we see through his manasa, and we see through his karmana. Manasa is his mindset. Karmana is his action. And vacha is what he speaks. We see through these three medias, we see through into his life. And then we see whether what we want, the things that I have narrated to you just a while ago, does he have it? A few years ago, we used to have a advertisement for the army. Do you have it in you? So that is the thing that, we look, do you have these things in you? So how does it go? Now, there are three techniques of selection process. One is a psychological test. This lasts for about 6 hours. It's a written test in which we give him a stimulus in terms of a picture, and we ask him to write a story on it. We give him a word and ask him to write a sentence on it. And we give him a situation and ask him to write a reaction. The time given to him is so short that he cannot think and write. It has to come from his subconscious. There is just no question of anybody consciously writing anything in the psychological test. And therefore, people commit murders in the psychological test because it comes from their, what they think, not from their brain or anything like that. Then comes the group dynamics. We have to work in the group. And therefore, we see how does a person work in a leaderless group. How does he adjust to the group? What is his social attitude? How much does he respect in the group? How does he get respected in the group? All these things are tested by an officer called GTO, Group Testing Officer. And so the psychological test goes on for about 4 to 6 hours, one day. Group testing takes about 2 days, every day about 5 to 6 hours. So these are the 3 days. Interviews are fitted in between after the psychological test is over and after the GTO tests are over. Thereafter, afternoon is normally the time for the personal interviews. And thereafter, on the 4th day, we have something called conference. And in the conference, all three assessors, they discuss a particular individual, his qualities, and then they decide whether he is to be recommended or not recommended. And mind you, these 3 days, these assessors might meet any number of time for social reasons, for administrative reasons, but they will never discuss the candidate. By that, they will never, impress another guy, with his own deductions about a candidate. So we come to the conference with our own uh, opinion of the candidate. We discuss the candidate, and then we select whether he is to be recommended or not to be recommended. These are the qualities that we look for. We call them the intelligence is the qualities of the head. Social qualities are qualities of the heart. The dynamic qualities are the qualities of the limbs. And leadership qualities are the qualities of the guts. So some of these are trainable qualities and some of these are untrainable qualities. Unless a person has those untrainable qualities to start with, he is generally not recommended. Trainable qualities, we take a chance, we will train you in the particular time that we have available for the training. So what are these? We'll only, I'll just throw some light on the untrainable qualities, what we look for. So the untrainable quality, the first is the cooperation. And cooperation is nothing but how much can you sacrifice your own goals for the goals of the organization and the goals of the country or the goals of the group, at that point in time. You all must have seen that movie called Chak De India. What Shah Rukh Khan tells those girls towards the last 10-15 minutes, that who makes the goal is not important. The goal is important for India. So before that, all other players have their own ego. So unless I make the goal, I don't pass it on to others. But then with that, advice from him, they pass the ball to somebody else, and So how much can you sacrifice? The goal is not coming on my name, but I have brought it till here. But yes, I am ready to sacrifice that because India needs a goal. So how much can you sacrifice? The social adaptability. The social adaptability is how much can you adapt to the environment? How much can you take the nonsense from the environment? How can you impress yourself to the environment? Basically, going right from the antipathy to apathy, to sympathy, uh, uh, to compassion. That entire gamut we check in that particular person. In fact, EQ and SQ is tested in this social adaptability. Then the sense of responsibility, all your qualities like honesty, integrity, loyalty, uh, your behavior when you're not being observed. Because most of the time you will be commanding a particular situation. There'll be no boss in you. So under such circumstances, uh, how do you behave yourself? Where do you see the problem and can you solve the problem? Now, these are the social qualities that we look for. Uh, then you come to the leadership qualities, liveliness, your buoyancy to come out of the situation, the failure. How can you rise from the failures? Uh, your attack fails. Do you get demoralized? In the olden days, the kings used to be sitting on the uh, uh, elephants or horses. Why? Because they always felt that the people need to see them. What happened in Simagad when Tanaji was hurt, people were almost ready to go back. But then Suryaji, who was his brother, he maintained them all, and then they came. So leader is very, very important. How much can he control his own feelings when there is a failure? So how much can you rise? How much can you bounce back from the failure? That is very important. The effective intelligence, coming to the intelligence side, effective intelligence, it is to produce resources when you are cornered against a wall. It is not the normal intelligence, but it is to produce resources and methodologies to do things when you are cornered against the wall. Uh, your grasp, your all those things. Power of expression, how you will convey your plans to your subordinates. And of course, the courage, which I don't have to explain to you. Now, these are the basic minimum things that we need. If a person does not pass in these things, in all these three techniques, then he's not accepted, he's rejected. He may be any uh, uh, any percentage in his 12th. So high IQ really does not matter. So therefore, we have people right from 94% to 49% in that 12th. Because 94 or 49 is not really the thing that we see. What we see is these things. Uh, if I am not too much exaggerating, I think we select ordinary people who have potential to become absolutely extraordinary. I'll give you a few examples. In 1971 war, we had 93,000 prisoners of wars. We have divided a country. I mean, is it an easy task? What is required to, carry out this task is something tremendous. Extraordinary efforts are required to, achieve that kind of a feat. Why go that far? Come to the Taj incidents in 2008. NSG was tasked for the Taj. When they reached, they had about 200 people with them. They were divided into three different tasks. And tasks of one of the group was to sanitize all the rooms which were there in Taj. And there were about over 1,000 rooms, 1,000 or 11,000, 1,100 rooms. And there were 80 people available to this group. Now, what was involved? What was involved was to go to each and every room, see what is there in that room. Is there a guest in that room? Is there a terrorist in that room? Or is there a guest and terrorist in that room? And sanitize that room, kill the terrorist, take out the guest, and then leave that room there, go to the next room, and then keep some people to, guard that room, because some terrorists later on should not come and enter that. So as they proceeded from one room to another room, their manpower reduced from 80 to 70 to 60 to 50. I don't know till then, in the last, how much they carried. And all this without any collateral damage and without any civilian casualty. Whatever civilian casualties had to happen, they all happened beforehand. After the NSG has taken over, there have been no civilian casualties. Now, that is the feat that, this 49% guy or whatever, this person can achieve. We had three generals that I remember. There are so many of them, but we have three generals that I remember, and one of them was in this forum a few years back, General Cardozo. General Cardozo, he has cut his own leg, because he didn't want to go to the hospital. He's cut his own leg when he was a captain in 1971. He later on commanded a division. I had a corps commander in 95, 96 in 12 Corps, which is Jodhpur based, General P.S. Joshi. Uh, God bless his soul, is no more. He's from Pune. And he didn't have both the legs amputated in some operation. General Oberoi, who was my RTRAC army commander, later on the Western Army commander, he didn't have one leg. So there are such people. And why go to that senior level? I'll tell you case of one of my postmates son. My postmate is 15 Punjab, and his son was also commissioned to 15 or 14 Punjab. And there was a requirement of, a patrolling in emergency through a minefield. The patrol was consisting of 6 people, one officer and 5 other ranks. And they found at the last moment that the battalion has only 5 mine boots. So this boy told the others that in any case, as per our formation, I will not be the first to enter the minefield. Somebody will enter the minefield and I will just step onto your step. So I will not need the mine boot. You all 5 wear the mine boot. I will walk without the mine boot in my normal DMS boot, which you must have seen, a Fauji boot, robust Fauji boot. And they went, with that formation, with 5 people wearing the mine boots and he not wearing it. And as the luck would be, in the night, he could not exactly see where the front person is putting his foot, because obviously the distance is quite a bit, and he initiated a mine. And, his leg blown off below the knee. The leg blown off. Today, This is about 5 years old story. Today, he is playing national table tennis. This is the kind of buoyancy that we ensure at the level of selection. So, having spoken of selection, let me also talk a little bit about the training. Now, what is the pattern of training that we have? For any outsider, he sees drill, he sees uh, weapon training, flying, sailing, strategic training, tactical training, outdoor training, indoor training, whatever. For us, it is nothing but infusing of values of the services in every soldier, irrespective of the rank. At every point in training, what is happening is we are infusing values. And what are these values? Esprit de corps, the spirit of camaraderie, uh, the spirit of brotherhood of braves. You see what General Cardozo did. Why? Because he didn't want to leave the troops and go to the hospital. So he said, इधर ही कर लेते, किसी को पता नहीं चलेगा. And he tried to cut his leg with his kukri. This morning, I was attending another lecture by Brigadier Basin. He said one of the officer in his unit, he got hurt in his head and he was, sent to the hospital. After he was okay, after about a month, the hospital gave him 1 month of sick leave when he's supposed to go home and relax in J&K. This boy didn't go home. This boy came back to the unit. He told his CO, he told his commander that I'm not interested in going back home. Let me do whatever you want me to write. I will write down and give it to you in writing that I want to be in the unit. And he went into the other operation. And there also he got hurt in the leg. So this is the kind of values that are embedded in you. The other day I was seeing Ramayana. So these values are not something new which were invented in 1947. In Ramayana, the Ram gets hurt by Ravana's barn. So Bibhishan and Lakshman tells him, let us go to our guest room and we will treat you. So what Ram says very interesting. He says, अगर आज मैं मेरे विश्राम गृह में चला गया, तो मेरा धर्म पराजित हो जाए. I can't leave the troops here today. I have to be with the troops. I need not even go to, Ramayana or 1971 or 5 years back. No, I will go 20 years back, but, this is my own story. I was in the Siachen Glacier and, I'm a gunner. I'm an artillery officer, where the officer and his small little detachment consisting of an operator and one more technical person, we are in the forward and our guns are 10-15 kilometers behind. They fire on our orders and we are supposed to adjust the fire. So we have processes which we carry out. So we observe the fall of shot and we correct the fall of shot. So we went into the bunkers. Bunkers have loopholes. From loopholes, we generally see the fall of shot. So I called for a round and I saw that I cannot see the round from that loophole. Either some vegetation was there or this fall of shot was much on the right or whatever. So I told my buddy, but his name is Atresh Kumar. The poor guy is in the hospital. Is actually his wife in the hospital. Yesterday she met with a fracture. So this boy was there. He was in the bunker. And I told him, Atresh, I will go up. I will stand on the bunker from where the visibility is clear because you have nothing stopping your view. And we were quite old, about 2.5 months old by then in the glacier. So any round of mortar or gun round coming, we generally could assess कि okay ये हमारे पास आ रहा है कि right में जा रहा है कि left में जा रहा है. So the fear of that, had passed off over a period of time. So I told him, from there I will pass the correction to you and you pass it on the radio set. So he said, okay, sir. So I saw the first round. I called for the repeat round. I saw the first round and I gave him a correction, whatever, add 400, write 400, whatever. And I was expecting a sound coming from the bunker loopholes, add 400. I heard add 400 from behind me. So when I looked back, this boy was standing behind me. And I said, Atresh, I told you to be in the bunker. Why are you outside? He said, साहब आपको अगर कुछ हो गया तो यूनिट में जाके क्या जवाब दूंगा? So that is the kind of camaraderie that we have. Then the spirit of sacrifice, self-sacrifice, selfless sacrifice. And for what? For name of the battalion, the name of the country, for namak that we are eating, namak jo khate hai, nishan, for the flag of the battalion, the flag of the country. This is the thing for which, we are ready to sacrifice our life consciously. I'll give you an example of Captain Mullah, Captain Indian Army, Indian Navy. He was commanding INS Khukri. He was commanding INS Khukri in 1971 operation, and the ship was sinking. He could not remove everybody. He could not rescue everybody. So the people asked him to come out. He says, no, I will not come out. He went into his commanding officer's office and he went down with the ship. Conscious death. You hitting with a bullet, dying, yes, it's equally difficult. But I can understand. Conscious death. He's sinking very, very consciously. It is not a suicide. It is not an emotional trump on your intelligence. No. It's a conscious death. It is after the discussions of emotions and intelligence. Fearlessness. Valor, fearlessness in the combat. You probably have heard Vikram Batra saying, I will either hoist a flag or I will come back wrapped in the flag. Fearlessness in the face of enemy. The death does not matter to these people. Manoj Pandey, he wrote 10 days back to his friend. He says, we will push back the intruders, come what may, for whatever we have to give for it, including our life. He wrote that letter is existing. So this kind of people are there by this training and, non-discrimination, no Hindu, Muslim, no, Jati, no Brahman, no, nothing. We eat in the same langar, we pray in the same temple. We have all gods in the same, we call it Sarva Dharmasthal. We have Kaaba ka photo there, we have Shankar ka ling there, we have Mother Mary's photograph there, we have Zarathustra there, we have everything. There's no discrimination whatsoever. Fairness and honesty. We are completely fair not only to our troops but also to the enemy. After the enemy dies, he's no more our enemy. We very respectfully treat his body. In fact, I very recently heard that in Glacier there is a post called Post 43, in which during the Kargil operations, sorry, not Glacier, in Kargil. In Kargil operation, the bodies were exchanged, of Indians and Pakistanis. And no round was fired on this post. That is the understanding between the enemies also. That fairness extends even beyond borders. Another story of Ramayana, which I am very fondly observing these days. Indrajit is the son of Ravan who dies. So the army, Ram's army is very angry. He says, हम तो इसको टुकड़े टुकड़े करके फेंक देंगे. So Ram says, no. he fought for his king. So now that he is dead, please respectfully take his body to the palace and keep it there. So they take the body to the palace, keep it outside, and come back. Fidelity, faithfulness. I am told from the very first day that the honor of this country rests on your shoulders. You cannot let the country down. The complete faithfulness. Death or dishonor. I will rather prefer death to dishonor. Gita says, अगर तुम जीतोगे तो राज मिलेगा, मरोगे तो स्वर्ग मिलेगा. There is no scope for dishonor. There is no scope for cowardice. Like this Atresh told me, he says, मैं क्या जवाब दूंगा यूनिट में जाकर के if you die. So might as well both of us let us go. So that is the kind of relationship that we develop. Forthrightness. Walk the talk. Nothing less than that. Service before self. All these values are so imbibed in you. Sir, I think I am going beyond the time. You'll have to ask for 15 more minutes for me. Hope that is okay.
Yeah, surely begin with it.
I have crossed my limit by 15 minutes. So this is the Chetwodian credo, which guides us through our life. The safety, honor, welfare of your country comes first, always and every time. The honor, welfare, comforts of your men comes next. Your own ease, comfort, and safety comes last, always and every time. And if you see all those examples that I have given you, they follow this principle. So it is walk the talk. It is not that I hang this in my office behind me. No, people are watching me for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and in operation, they are with me. So if they find even a inch of selfishness in me, they will not follow my orders. So that is the kind of values that we imbibe. I actually wanted to show you a video, but I'll not go on to that because we are short of time. So I think I've come to the end of what I want to tell you about the defense forces. Now, what are the lessons to be learned? Now, I started with the fact that we are not something superior. We are at most something different. Also, when we started the independence, the character was already there. Over a period of time, this character has reduced because people wanted immediate success. Immediate money, immediate success, whatever you call it. So, anything that was not required to be done was done by the people. Now tell me, if I give you a choice at the hindsight 10 years back, what kind of leadership would you have preferred? Sahara, Deccan Air, Kingfisher, Jet Air, or Tatas? I will request Ashish sir, you to be the spokesman of people, because I can't see what they are saying or writing.
Sure, I think that's a very interesting question. What kind of leadership we would have expected 10 years back, right?
No, preferred 10 years back.
10 years back. So Sahara,
At the hindsight.
At the hindsight, yeah.
Today, what has happened to all these companies?
Yeah, Sahara, Deccan, yeah.
Sahara, Deccan, Kingfisher, Jet Air.
Jet Air, Kingfisher, Jet Air. So Balaji is saying, of course, Tata. Yeah.
Tata and second?
Tata's. Bhavna is saying Tata's. Kusum is saying Tata's. Yeah.
If I give you a second chance, what? Probably Deccan Air.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Deccan Air was again a very character-based leadership.
Correct.
Only that it has submitted itself to Kingfisher for some financial reasons, but otherwise, it was a very character-based leadership.
Correct.
Okay, today if I if I give you a choice between Reliance Mukesh Bhai, Reliance Anil Bhai, Bajaj, Adani, and Tata, what would be the choice?
Yeah. Please type
Probably
the
again
responses.
Tata.
Yeah.
Probably again Tata. Now,
Correct.
why this name has lasted so long? Because of its character. Because it is the character-based organization which will reveal patriotism. It will live longer. And it'll send better vibes. Okay. So to be successful, what you need is work hard, face challenges, know people, and use shortcuts. You will probably be successful in a very short time. But to be extraordinary, you need to work hard, you have to face challenges, you have to have discipline and a very strong moral values. And there are no shortcuts. You have to develop them over a period of time. So that is the kind of character-based leadership that we can follow in the environment other than the forces in there is a very interesting video that I got hold of only yesterday. So I thought I will show it to you. This is George Soros.
In the last 2 years, you've been blamed for financial collapse of Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Are you that powerful?
No, I think there's a great misunderstanding. I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do. As a competitor, I've got to compete to win. As a human being, I am concerned about the society in which I live.
Which George Soros am I talking to now? The amoral George Soros or the moral George Soros?
It's one person. It's one person who at one time engages in amoral activities and at the rest of the time tries to be moral.
You're a Hungarian Jew who escaped the Holocaust by posing as a Christian.
Right.
And you watched lots of people get shipped off to the death camps.
Right. I was 14 years old. And I would say that that's when my character was made.
In what way?
That one should think ahead, one should understand and anticipate events, and one is threatened. It was a tremendous threat of evil. I mean, it was a very personal experience of evil.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right.
Yes. I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
Not at all. Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't see the connection, but it created no problem at all.
No feeling of guilt.
No.
For example, that I'm Jewish, and here I am watching these people go. I could just as easily be there. I should be there. None of that.
Well, of course, I could be on the other side, or I could be the one from whom the thing is being taken away. But there was no sense that I shouldn't be there, because that was, well, actually, funny way, it's just like in markets, that if I weren't there, of course I wasn't doing it, but somebody else would be taking it away anyhow. It was whether I was there or not, I was only a spectator. The property was being taken away. So I had no role in taking away that property. So I had no sense of guilt.
Yeah. So this is one gentleman, and the other gentleman is Viktor Frankl. This is the book of Viktor Frankl, Yes to Life in Spite of Everything. He went through the entire concentration camp. And then he took on, giving something to the community. The demoralized community, he brought them from that demoralization. Now, see, these are the two different people. And therefore, I always say that we are the sum total of everything that we have felt, seen, eaten, heard, forgot, smelled, been told. It's all there. These are all the things that have gone into making ourselves. Everything influences each of us. And therefore, we must try and uh, see that our experience is a positive. The same experience, one is George Soros, another is Viktor Frankl. He took it positively, he changed the world. He took it negatively and see what he's doing. So this is the kind of character that we can make use of in the forces, in the environment other than the forces. Now let us go over a certain lessons that I have enumerated before I, make the platform open for the questions. So the first is build character in early stages of life. It's not difficult to change your character at an old age. It is always possible. But in the early stages of life, if you can make that character, it is better. We are not talking about what we see from this presentation today, and on Monday when we go to the office, we apply that there. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about character-based leadership, and character formation takes a lot of time. Probably you need a generation for that. Tatas have done that. When the others have failed, Tatas are continuing. Bajaj are continuing. So that is the reason, why that is happening. So the first is build character. I'll give you a small example of a business community called Chitale Bandhu in Pune. All those from Pune will identify. Now, they are mithai shop today. A few years back, about 100 years back, they were just a dairy farm. And the father who handled this dairy, he told one thing to his children, that दूध में पानी कभी मत डाल. And the day you think, the day you feel that you should put water in the milk, you leave this business and you take up a job somewhere, because then your business will not last. Today they are lasting long. Today they are there. They are the most, trustworthy mithai wala I have ever seen. I go there with trust and confidence. I don't like their attitude. Their attitude is not so good. I don't like it. They will not even smile at you when you enter. Forget about welcoming. They will make you feel as if, अरे बाप रे, ये आ गया, अभी मेरे को काम करना पड़ेगा. But the stuff that they give you is so pure. Even during the high consumption days, like now Ganpati will come. A lot of people will buy pedas, and you will find mixes of all kinds everywhere else. But I go with closed eyes to Chitale and buy it. That is the trust. That is the character that Chitale has created over a period of time. Walk the talk. If you want to influence your subordinates, you have to walk the talk. There is no other way out. Like we say, welfare of the nation comes first, welfare under your men under you comes next, and your own comfort comes the last. The same rule is applicable for us. Savarkar, Veer Savarkar had said that in Marathi, it may not, you may not rhyme so well in English, but I'll try and explain to you. It says, देहाकडून देवाकडे जाताना मध्ये देश लागतो आणि आपण त्या देशाचं देणं लागतो. When you go from your soul to the God, your country comes in between and you owe a lot to the country. So look after the country by hook or by hook. So that is what you can do. You don't have to die for it. You have to work for it. Discrimination is always counterproductive. It is few people who are making their bread and butter on it, but they are unfortunately influencing most of us. But it is bad. fairness to others, and honesty in yourself. Discipline. Now, what is discipline? In English, there are two types of disciplines. One is discipline, which is for others, and one is self-discipline, that is for me. So these are two different things. In no other language, I think you have two different things. It is shista is shista, in Marathi. So when I say discipline, means discipline for you also, discipline for me also. If I expect you to not cross the signal, jump the signal, I expect myself also not to jump the signal. So what is discipline? Discipline is basically doing a correct thing and doing it regularly. And time is great essence in discipline. Most of us, keep an alarm of 6 o'clock and, then what we do is just switch off the alarm. So we're not following that discipline, the time. Time is very important. If you want to see the importance of time, sometimes watch the Republic Day, that the ceremony on the 29th.
Retreat.
Beating the retreat. See the way there is a few seconds difference between the chiefs coming, the defense minister coming, the prime minister coming, the chief guest of who comes from the foreign country, wife of the president, now of course not there, the president coming, few seconds difference. When they went for this oath taking ceremony, so they said prime minister will be entering at some 11 hours, 59 minutes and 53 seconds. That is the importance of time, that we must assign to our daily routine. So it is very, very important. And then the moral courage and forthrightness. So I don't have to explain to you that, but it requires a lot of courage. And what is true for the army, what Vivekananda said, is equally true for anything other than the army. That is, your bodies, your virtues, your intellect, and your spirituality influence everyone. That is how one industry is, organization is better than the organization today. It is all because of what the creators of this organization have influenced over the management today, and how this management today is influencing on its subordinates. So the camaraderie, the respect holds equal opportunity and the equal importance in the area outside the forge. I think I have come to the end of what I have to say. If there are any questions, I can take up. I have 3 questions from Balaji, which I received yesterday and today morning. I am prepared for that. Thanks.